Hi everyone, I'm Adam Rogers with Ethereal and Big Dog, and I'm here today to show you how to use MAVbase and Big Dog Power, best practices with an NVR, a modem, and a router. Let's get into it. Before we get into the how, let's talk about the why. If a modem or a router ever gets locked up, you lose your internet connection. Using Big Dog Power, we can use the self-healing functions to automatically restart those devices. Same thing with the NVR. If any of your clients have ever lost connection to their cameras when they're viewing them remotely, many of the times the problem is the NVR has either locked up or has lost its network connection, or the modem and the router have also lost their internet connection. Here's how you can use Big Dog and the self-healing function to solve those problems. All right, so we are already signed into our 3 outlet that we're going to be working with today. So you can see here that we have the outlets already named. So we have our modem, router, and NVR. We're going to go ahead and start with the modem. So the first thing we're going to do is come in here. We'll go to our settings. And inside of our settings, we can see this is where we rename the outlet, but this is also where we set up the self-healing for the modem itself. So we're going to click on yes, and that should open this up here. Now for the modem, normally they don't have an IP address of the modem itself directly. So what we want to do is we want to use something that's on the other side of the modem. So we're going to use the Google DNS in this case. If you don't want to use that, you can also use a different one. There's other services out there like the 1.1.1.1, but in this case, we're going to use the Google DNS. I like to give it a little bit further out, so about 60 seconds. Once every 60 seconds, we're going to ping it. That's kind of that nice buffer. With modems and routers, we really want to give them a little bit more of a grace period so that they don't over reboot themselves. And so we want to make sure that we give them a nice period of time for that. And 60 seconds, once every 60 seconds is enough for that. On failure, we're going to increase this to 30 seconds. So now we're pinging that device now every 30 seconds instead of every 60 seconds. And again, we want to go ahead and give that enough retry attempts to where that is far enough out to where we don't have to worry about it rebooting when it really shouldn't be, in case there's just a glitch in the service or something else is going on. From there, on our ping fail action, we want to go ahead and change this to reboot. And of course, we want it to notify us when it reboots and also when it comes back online. So our ping heal action, we're going to leave as no change, but this is something you can use in the future for another device. In this case, there's no need for us to do that. So these settings here are the best practice settings for the modem. And here in just a second, we'll go and take a look at the router. So on the router, what we want to do is the same thing. We'll go to the settings. We'll go ahead and turn this on here. The first thing that we're going to do is give the IP address for this modem, or sorry, for this router. We'll go in here. And again, we want to give it a little bit longer of a grace period of time. Now, 60 seconds, we probably don't have to go that far out, but at least 30 seconds is what I recommend. And then on failure, we can go ahead and increase that time to every 15 seconds. So we want to give the router a little bit more of a grace period. But the modem, we want to give that the most grace period on that. So leave our retry attempts at 10. That's a good, reasonable amount of time for it to retry pinging that device. And again, that's in the event that there's just a glitch in the system and it's not actually down. We don't want to reboot it because the routers and the modems, they take a little bit longer to come back online. And of course, our ping fail action, we want to go to reboot and we want to turn on the notify options. Go ahead and save that information there. All right, and now onto the NVR. Now, before we get into this, I do want to make a note here that in this case, we're assuming that the NVR is plugged in directly to the router, as well as the Big Dog power unit. So this can change and alter the way that you would make a best practice for this. However, in this case, we're going to assume that both the NVR and the Big Dog unit are plugged into the router for its network connection, and we don't have a separate network switch that everything is plugged into. So in this case, we're going to go into the settings. We're going to, of course, turn on the monitor ping, and we're going to type in the address. So in this case, like so. Now, what we want to do in this case, again, with the NVR plugged into the router and the Big Dog power unit also plugged into the router, we want to go ahead and put this out a little bit further than what we did the router itself. So for here, we're going to put 40 seconds. And then on failure, we're going to go ahead and put in 20 seconds. And then our retry attempts, we're going to go ahead and put in our 15. And then, of course, our ping fail action, we're going to set it to reboot. And then, of course, we're going to turn on the notifies. Go ahead and save our changes here. And with that, we're good to go. Now, of course, remember, if you do have the network switch involved with this setup instead of going to the router with the NVR and the Big Dog Power, you can change this. So you can go into the settings and change this setting here to much, much lower. But in this case, we're going to assume that we're only using the router for the connections and we don't have a network switch that we're running through. All right, everybody, now that we've gone through the best practices for an NVR DVR and how to use it with a modem, go ahead and reach out to us for more information at etherealpro.com or at the phone number below.